10 seasons of Survivor Branford. The only word that could describe this season is celebration. With dozens of past players and an ever-growing pool of new players, this season was surely the hottest ticket in town. Ultimately, we settled on 14 VIPs, and this is your chance to get to know them. So come with me as I unclip the velvet rope and introduce you to the cast of Survivor Branford Season 10. If I was going to go through the exercise of creating a checklist for a Survivor Branford player, Garrett would check every box. Maybe it's not such a bad idea to create a checklist for the future. Survivor fan? Of course. Inspirational story of self-discovery? Check. The ability to adapt to change? Something I've never been good at? Definitely. I'll stop there to not give away all my secrets, but from the first time I talked to Garrett, I knew I'd found a castaway for Season 10. Garrett's counting on an impressive social game, seasoned with a bit of strategy to be the recipe to earn my congratulations and a cash prize at the end of this game. My hope is that I can create a festive atmosphere in accordance with the theme of this season, and Garrett's certainly going to bring the fun. And who's going to want to vote out the life of the party? Having cited Tasha as a personal Survivor Branford favorite, I think we should all prepare now to see Garrett, like her, as a rootable protagonist to the season, who maybe might just take that final step that she couldn't in Season 9. While she says she's honored to be a part of the 10th season, we're just as honored to have Sarah. Her positive energy is magnetic, and it would be no surprise to find her tribe revolving around her. Sarah may very well end up playing a 26, or I can hope a 39-day version of Survivor sometime in her future. With life experience including moving to America as a child, attending an Ivy League school, or traveling alone for 4 months through Europe, this is someone whose life would be enhanced by Survivor and not defined by it. Sarah loves storytelling and writing, and if all goes well, she may end up being one of the narrators of this season. In addition to her writing dream, Sarah has worked a variety of odd jobs, giving her an even more diverse skill set suited for this game. Perhaps one of the more outspoken members of the cast, I hope that to the rest, this quality is viewed as a leadership trait for Sarah, rather than one that makes her stand out negatively among her tribe mates. Whether Sarah goes home first, wins it all, or anything in between, I know that her story this season is going to be an inspiring one to all. If we're talking celebrity, you can't have any conversation without including Sarah Elizabeth. At the top of my list for players I wanted to see back, Sarah Elizabeth is ready for an epic encore. In Season 7, Sarah Elizabeth used a not-so-hidden immunity idol to build a strong early game alliance. And from the merge, right through the Final Four, she always seemed to perfectly position herself in the middle to drive the game in the direction that suited her best. Sarah Elizabeth would be the first to tell you that she let an opportunity slip through her fingers at the final Tribal Council, but it's that experience that's recharged her competitive spirit and given her an earned sense of confidence coming into Season 10. I expect Sarah Elizabeth and her infectious laugh will fit in well no matter the vibe of her tribe and play another pivotal role in the story of this season. Plus, if it was up to me, and maybe this is why I'm not a player, wouldn't you want to keep Sarah Elizabeth in the game just to be able to say that you rubbed elbows with someone of her stature? Even I've never binged every single season of Survivor Branford within a few months, so my respect to John. Even though he was a latecomer to Survivor, he got up to speed incredibly quick. It's no stretch to call him a student of the game, with Survivor Branford serving as his final exam. I think that John will play a thoughtful game that stays within the lines, first finding a top ally, and from there looking to put trust in a larger group to carry him through. But just as important to John will be putting his own personal stamp upon this game. Maybe it's a move we're still talking about seasons from now, perhaps the hilarious episode title that he supplies, or potentially even celebrating him as the winner of our 10th season. John comes highly endorsed by a Survivor Branford legend, so when you have that kind of referral, it's got my attention. I don't throw out the word guarantee lightly, but I am guaranteeing that John does no worse than making the merge. He's a quintessential player who's not going to beat himself in the early part of the game. How much further than that will he go? That's what we're all here to find out. Since this year we're celebrating 10 seasons of Survivor Branford, we definitely owe credit for a few memorable moments to Eddie. However, it's his most recent memorable moment that he'd like to forget. The last time we saw Eddie, he engineered his own demise with an immunity idol gambit at Season 7's merge. And no exaggeration, he still hasn't gotten over it. Eddie is looking to go back to his roots of playing a very solid all-around game. From being a strong challenge contributor, to using his laid-back personality to his advantage, to demonstrating his knack for finding idols, Eddie already has the blueprint for making a run in this game. Don't look now, but all of a sudden, Eddie is the most experienced veteran in Season 10. I suspect he may be worried about this and will try to advertise his experience to his tribe as a good thing, attempting to provide strong leadership and find coachable moments for his less experienced peers. If all goes well, Eddie should be able to take up his usual residence at the merge, and maybe even crack the final 3 that's eluded him over his time in the game. Though I'm supposed to remain unbiased as host, it's really hard to stop myself from rooting for Mare. My winner pick from Season 5, and my lead crew member over the past few years, I'm very excited to see Mare back in front of the camera. Mare has had a unique perspective as a direct observer the last few seasons, and we'll have to see if she's taken notes on the handful of great players who emerged over that time. In the past, we've definitely seen the game cause Mare to be a bit frenetic, but she's hoping that the last few years of her life experience away from the game have taught her the patience and calmness that would only play to her advantage here. One thing I'll be watching out for is if, despite being a veteran, this season almost comes through as a new player reset for Mare, given the handful of seasons since she last donned a buff, and the new blood that's most familiar with more recent seasons of Survivor Branford. No matter the outcome, Season 10 feels that much more special and complete with Mare back in the mix. Someone coming in this season with a lot of confidence is Casey. After all, in our earliest conversations during casting, this is someone who would sign her emails as future Survivor Branford winner. But you'd be wrong to think that Casey can't back it up. Simply put, Casey is smart. And when you take someone who's smart and also unafraid to play the game, it could be a lethal combination for her competition. Casey's going to try to hide her intelligence by coming off as disengaged to the rest of her tribe, while she's really crafting a strategic masterclass. The level of deception she may play with, coupled with her belief in herself, may cause some to view Casey as a bit of a villain, but she wouldn't mind in the slightest. An active person, who excelled at pole vaulting in her past, Casey hopes to be able to also employ a polished social game to make her a true triple threat, as long as she could get over her fear of being able to read the rest of her tribe. The decision to expand Survivor Branford to allow anyone to apply was done so in the hopes that someone like Casey would find their way to us. The winner of Season 9 was described as a social chameleon, and this season's self-described social chameleon is Peter. If he could follow through on that promise, he's got as good a shot as any to stand atop Season 10. Peter feels that he could adapt to whomever he's around. If he needs to be the entertaining and funny guy, he's ready. If early conversations are more strategic, Peter's game. As a voice actor, Peter has honed his craft of being able to play many different and believable roles. So why can't he do that in a non-animated world too? It's not lost on me that Peter's glasses will remind us of him being a chameleon, as they too will change their level of tint throughout the game. Peter's no physical slouch either, as his height and reach could provide valuable to his tribe in the right conditions. But to play the role of chameleon that Peter hopes to, he needs to make sure that his tribe mates don't compare too many notes. Otherwise, they may all wonder who he really is at his core, which could pose problems. I think it's possible Peter may remain much of a free agent throughout the game, which if true, will only liven up the party more. Fair or not, when you're 6'3" and 270 pounds, your physical game is going to overshadow the rest. So for Mike, is that something he's going to embrace or try to work around? Since his size is going to be a topic for sure, I'll spend this time highlighting other aspects of Mike. As a wrestling coach, he knows how to lead and has also seen his fair share of pressure-packed moments, staying calm when it matters most. It should make total sense that Mike loves to compete in anything from board games to Spartan races to Survivor, which he views as the ultimate test. Mike's pretty even-keeled, and I don't expect him to get into any self-made trouble early in the game. If winning is the mindset of his tribe, and why wouldn't it be, he should also have great security until it becomes an individual game. And at that time, all Mike's done in the social game will mean everything, as it's that, and that alone, which will keep him from being viewed as the literal biggest threat in the game. I think he's going to have more of an uphill battle than most of the others, but I'm sure to Mike, he wouldn't have it any other way. Despite what may have occurred last season, I'm stubborn and want to prove to myself that I really did see a lot of potential in Jackson. And more importantly, he wants to prove to all of us that he has what it takes to go all the way in this game. But a journey like that can't start without the first step of making it through the first tribal council. Jackson's prepared for this in Season 10 and attributes his unfortunate early exit to playing too passively and not making the relationships that could carry him to a greater success. I expect Jackson to hit the ground running, using his charm and personable nature to bond with his tribe mates, particularly in one-on-one settings. Jackson's first boot status could be a blessing in disguise, as he could associate with fellow returning players due to the shared past experience, or downplay that to the new players, essentially saying that he's still one of them. Because of his limited time on our screens last season, I don't think any of us truly know what Jackson could bring to the game, especially in its later stages, but we're here for it. Someone who it's no stretch to imagine being a fan favorite this season is Meg. She's very real and relatable, and authenticity is one of the most valuable things you could bring into this game. Meg is being humble to call herself only a stay-at-home mom. This is also someone who runs marathons, has a diving background, just in general is a bad, well, you can finish that statement. In addition to her physical game, Meg loves puzzles and may be willing to step up in that moment that most players tend to shy away from. I think that winning the first challenge will be key for Meg, as she's one of the more introverted players this season who's going to require more of that startup time to find a comfortable role in her tribe. But if and when Meg overcomes that hurdle, she may carve out a great niche as everyone's best friend in the game. I've already heard a lot of support for Meg from neutral observers, so the question is, are you going to get on board now, or have to pretend later that you were Team Meg from the start? I was thinking must-have the first time that I talked to TJ. His background and experiences make him cut out to play a game like this. While professional poker players have had mixed results in Survivor, to be able to have one here was irresistible. TJ prides himself on being able to read people and situations, and if he can back that up, his success in the game may be uncapped. He's not going to tell his tribe mates of his poker experience though, and will instead play up the fact that he used to be a teacher and had the incredible experience of teaching in Asia for 5 years. Through both poker and teaching, TJ has worked with so many different people and personality types that acclimating into his tribe here should be a breeze. I find TJ to be such a smooth talker and operator, and wonder if his tribe mates may feel that this guy is too good to be true, and suspect that there could be more to him than meets the eye. A Survivor superfan to boot, TJ runs towards risk and not away from it, which makes me expect we'll be seeing some bad beats along the way, whether it's TJ himself or someone else on the receiving end. After the season's over, I bet everyone's going to want to get a drink with Olivia. And not just because she's working as a bartender. Olivia is a huge Survivor fan and hopes to put her daily interactions to good use in the course of this game. She seems to be just as comfortable hanging with the guys as spending time with the girls, which should allow her many options depending on the way lines are drawn within her tribe. Growing up with 4 older siblings has given Olivia a toughness that should also serve her well, especially if the game starts to take a toll on some of her tribe mates. She may joke that everyone else is smarter than her or more in shape, but it's that self-deprecation that could be so endearing to others in trying times. That Olivia is not only in this to feed her competitive side, but also to have the experience, may take some of the edge off and allow her to enjoy herself in a way that could lead to a great result in the end. Last season, I was so glad to share with all of you what I already knew from 10 seasons ago, that Sarah is a star. After a runner-up finish that lit up our screens, Sarah wants to do it all over again, with one slight difference at the end. She's clearly thought a lot about last season, and admits she may have lived too much in a triangular bubble. The biggest adjustment that Sarah is looking to make is to genuinely connect with everyone on her tribe. And if you aren't able to connect with someone like Sarah, that's on you, not her. To downplay any thoughts of her being a threat, Sarah will remind everyone of her loyalty and of her physical game, which kept her whole Season 9 tribe safe throughout the pre-merge. It's probably unreasonable to expect another undefeated pre-merge, and Sarah assures me that she'll be ready to go, no matter when her first visit to Tribal Council takes place. And we'll be ready too for Sarah's big-time energy, colorful personality, and attire, and her desire to turn her silver medal into a gold. And there you have it, an A-list group of players if I say so myself. Now you may be wondering where a certain 9-time Survivor Branford player is, and the answer is right here. Dennis, how are you?
I'm good.
Well, thank you on behalf of all of us for your 9 seasons of Survivor Branford. I'm sure it's not the last time I'll ever see you, but this is normally the time where I'd make a winner pick, but with you in the house, I feel like a celebrity shot is in order. So who do you think's going to take it all the way this season?
So it's hard to believe I'm actually finally sitting out a season. I figured I'd give some other people a chance, but more importantly, just delay me hitting double digits of losing the game. So I think the winner's going to come from the group of new players, a lot of really strong options. So for my official winner pick, I'm going to go with John. I think John has all the tools needed to be a really successful Survivor player. I think he's very strategic and logical. I think he'll have a strong social game, and I think he'll also do really well in challenges. If there is maybe one area of potential concern for me with John, I think it's whether he'll be able to manage his threat level. But I'm confident in John, he'll be able to navigate those things, find enough connections and shields, and make it into the end game.
All right, Dennis has spoken, and it's time for us to wrap this one up. Now, you aren't going to want to miss this party, so be sure to RSVP and mark your calendar for January 11th for the start of Survivor Branford Season 10.